Hercules was the strongest man in Greece. He strangled monsters, killed beasts no one else could touch, and at one point, literally held up the sky. This is a man so absurdly strong, the myths had to keep inventing new ways to prove it. And yet, for someone built like the final boss, Hercules spends a shocking amount of time being completely humiliated. Because Greek mythology does not care how powerful you are, it will still embarrass you. And Hercules might be the best example of that. Because beneath the lion skin, the muscles, and the impossible strength, he's also impulsive, easily manipulated, and somehow always one bad decision away from disaster. So if you've only ever seen the polished Disney version, you've missed the part where Hercules keeps taking absolutely ridiculous losses. And some of them are genuinely hard to recover from. So here are the 5 most embarrassing things to happen to him. Number 5. He took orders from a man who hid in a jar. To atone for his crimes, Hercules had to serve King Eurystheus, and Eurystheus was not exactly built for leadership. He wasn't brave, he wasn't intimidating, he wasn't even emotionally stable enough to make eye contact with Hercules. In fact, whenever Hercules came back from one of his labors, Eurystheus would hide in a bronze jar. Not retreat strategically, not take cover, hide in a jar. This is the man Hercules had to obey for 12 years. 12 years. The strongest man in Greece taking instructions from a man who responded to stress by climbing into cookware. That's not heroic. That's workplace humiliation with divine consequences. Number 4. He got sold. After killing Iphitus in a fit of rage, Hercules had to atone. Again. Which, to be fair, becomes a bit of a theme with him. And this time, the punishment was simple. He got sold. As property. The most physically dangerous man alive, auctioned, purchased, owned by Queen Afali. And there is something deeply humiliating about being able to kill monsters with your bare hands and still being legally somebody else's asset. He could overpower lions, break armies, probably rearrange architecture if he was in the mood, but apparently none of that helped with paperwork. That is such a heroic downfall. Number 3. Afali stole his entire aesthetic. And under Queen Afali, things somehow got worse. Because she didn't just own Hercules, she absolutely violated his entire image. She wore the lion skin, carried the club, sat there looking like the actual action figure version of Hercules, while Hercules wore women's clothing, spun wool, and did domestic chores. Now, just to be clear, the issue here isn't haha chores. The issue is that Greek mythology took the single most aggressively masculine man in existence and turned him into a visual joke. She had his outfit, his props, his whole brand, and somehow wore it better. Which means Hercules, the man whose solution to most problems was blunt force trauma, spent part of his life doing arts and crafts while somebody else cosplayed as him more effectively than he ever did. Number 2. He got tricked into holding up the sky. To retrieve the golden apples, Hercules made a deal with Atlas. Atlas would go get the apples, Hercules would hold up the sky in the meantime. Already, this is not a strong opening move, because if a giant ancient titan says, "Can you just hold the heavens for a second?" your first instinct should not be cooperation. But Hercules agrees, so Atlas leaves, gets the apples, comes back, looks at Hercules holding the literal sky, and immediately tries to finesse him. Basically, what if you just stay there forever? And for a moment, that almost works. The strongest man alive, nearly trapped in permanent cosmic back pain because he got out-negotiated by a guy whose entire personality is shoulder pain. He only escaped by tricking Atlas into taking the sky back for just a second. Which is impressive, but also, if your survival plan is built around hold this quickly, things have gone very badly. Number 1. He died because of a shirt. After surviving monsters, labors, madness, gods, and every possible form of ancient Greek suffering, Hercules was ultimately defeated by clothing. His wife, Deianira, gave him a robe soaked in what she believed was a love charm. It wasn't. It was poison. He put it on, and it fused to his skin. It burned. He screamed, tried to tear it off, couldn't. And that is how one of the greatest heroes in mythology actually went out. Not in battle, not against some giant beast, not during a glorious last stand. A shirt. After everything he survived, a piece of fabric got the final kill. Imagine strangling lions and fighting monsters for most of your adult life, only to be taken out by your own outfit. That's not epic. That's deeply unfortunate. So yes, Hercules was strong. No one disputes that. But Greek mythology has never cared about protecting its heroes from looking ridiculous. It gives them impossible strength, then immediately puts them in situations strength can't fix. Serving a coward, getting sold, losing his entire aesthetic, almost being tricked into permanent sky labor, and finally, being killed by laundry. Because in Greek mythology, being the strongest man in the room usually just means your humiliation will be louder.